Hey folks, it's Mike the Ashamed Canadian, and having a rough time right now, but people seem to want to know a little bit more about me, so let's do it. We'll start right from the beginning. Let's go from there. Um, I was born in Hamilton, raised in Halifax, Nova Scotia, well, just outside of Peggy's Cove, Nova Scotia. My parents separated when I was 12. My mother got custody of me, and I moved back to Hamilton. When I was 14 on Christmas Day, I got kicked out of the house, and I haven't been back home since. I've managed to get through school, go to college, go to university. I've had union jobs. From the time I was 18, I started working in drop-in centers and shelters. So I'm going back in 1985 is when I first started working in shelters. Um, on the books. There was a few times I worked off the books before that because I was actually staying in the shelters when I was a kid. Um, you can't do that now, but there's youth shelters and stuff like that. But so I know what it's like going through rough times and that. So I worked at a shelter in Hamilton. When I was there, one day I got on the elevator. I was closing up the shelter in the basement. An elderly gentleman got on the elevator with me. As soon as the elevator doors closed and the elevator started to move, the guy had a heart attack and died at my feet. Um, that was 36 years ago, and if I ever went back to the building, I still would never get into that elevator. Um, After a while, I ended up moving to Toronto, and I took a job with the city of Toronto working at a place called Seton House. At the time, it was Canada's largest men's shelter with over 1,800 emergency beds in it. Within the first 6 months I was there, we'd found over 125 people dead. I found people with their throat slashed, stabbed, shot, natural causes, strangled, drug overdoses, you name it. I've seen it all, and it plays with your head. Um, and then I worked there for about 12 and a half years. But just before that, though, I was part of a group that actually helped make changes to the Privacy Act and the Human Rights Act in Canada. Over 150 of us literally chained ourselves to Parliament Hill to get these changes. And those changes are so that if you call a drop-in center or a shelter or any of these places now and ask if somebody's there, they're not allowed to tell you. Um, what really got me is that when I was working at the shelter, I also worked at a drop-in center part-time. A friend of mine ran it, so I go over there and help him out in that. And a lady came there for help to get away from her husband, an abusive husband. And, you know, that's what drop-in centers are for, to help people in situations like this to get out of and find them secure places to go. Well, her husband had called the center and somebody had asked if she was there, and she held up the phone, and as she was coming up, he hung up. About 45 minutes later, he showed up outside, and as we were about to walk her out and put her in a cab to send her to the women's shelter, he walked right up to her, and I'm telling you, I got blood all over my face from it. But he shot her in the head and killed her right in front of us on the stairs, right at Sherbourne and Dundas in downtown Toronto. And it was at the Friendship Center at All Saints Church. That played a big part on my head. Um, Why I was also at that drop-in center, I worked with a lady by the name of Diane Baker, which started the Street Health in Toronto. And we were the ones who started the very first needle exchange program in Canada. So I am one of the founding members of the needle exchange program in Canada. Now I'm petrified of needles, and I still did this stuff because I believe in what I was doing, and I still do. Um, I went out west. I worked out west for a while in the 90s. I took a job out there, back and forth. I would go between working in Toronto and working in Vancouver um, in the early 90s. And then I came back to Toronto, and then I just kept the job there. Worked a few other jobs on the side too, because we all know you can't just work one job nowadays. At one point, I was working 3 jobs just to, you know, keep myself above water and that. But back in 1999, I was at a bar. And I'd already quit drinking and everything at this point, but I went to an after hours bar. A friend of mine's band was playing at the after hours bar, and a bunch of cops came in and they robbed us all. This made national headlines all across Canada. You can check this out anywhere, it's out there. But 4 cops and 1 civilian ended up going to jail. The civilian got charged with impersonating a police officer and robbery and stuff like that. And the cops got charged with robbery. And one of them got charged with giving a guy his uniform and that. And just so that you guys know, and I'll tell you the guy's name is out there and everything. The guy that wasn't a cop that had the cop's uniform, I worked for his father. His father's name is Mike Waslin Sr., and he owned a company called Mike the Ticket Host. Now, him and his son Monty started another company. You've probably seen it in the arenas and that for only a couple of years, but it was called StubHub. Now, Mike Waslin Sr., it was his son Mike Waslin Jr. that went around impersonating the cop and robbed all of us at the bar that night. Now, because a bunch of us turned him in, a bunch of us got a beating. I got a really bad beating. I was walking down the street, just got off work at the church, and I was going home. The cops grabbed me, threw me in the back of the cop car, took me down to Terry Beach. So that you don't think it, look, 15 stitches there to put my lip back together right there. 7 in the side of my nose. They cracked my orbital bone in 3 spots. They broke my jaw, knocked out 4 teeth, broke 6 ribs, broke my left arm, and broke both my fucking legs, and left me in my underwear at Cherry Beach to die. If it wasn't for a trucker, I would have been dead right now. So that's the main beating that I took from the cops. I've took a lot of beating from cops. I've been smacked around. I've been illegally arrested. I've had my balls stepped on and everything. I cannot have kids because of cops, because of the way what they've done to me. So, I have a big problem with cops, and I do suffer from severe PTSD because of all of this. Now, I ended up going back out west again. I had to get out of Ontario because they were just harassing me so much. They're making up false charges. And to this day, I still have charges in Ontario that they falsely made up on me. Since 2000, they've been there. So, I go out west, I work out there, and then I come to, I was working in Calgary, and I got my addiction counseling certificate. I'm a registered addiction counselor. I'm a registered community support worker, and in the college I took automotive because I love working on cars. I actually owned my own chop shop for a while. I worked for a couple car dealers on the side when I was working for the city of Toronto. When I left the city of Toronto, I left because I didn't believe that we should be out on strike asking for more money on the backs of the homeless. Instead of giving us a raise, I thought that maybe they should start pumping a little bit more money into the shelters and that to help out the people of the street. So I quit during a strike, and I lost 12 and a half years of pension because of it. So when I was out west in Calgary, when I left there, I moved down to New Brunswick. Worked for an organization there for a while, Harvest House Ministries, helped open up 2 addiction recovery centers there. When I was in Toronto, I was one of the founding members of a place called Street City. And what it was a shelter. We had an old postal warehouse, and the upstairs was a shelter, and in the main warehouse area, we built housing for people. It was like a small little community in there. It had its own convenience store, laundromat, kitchens, washrooms, and there was about 25 or 30 rooms, 2 stories in this building. It's because of all the change of hands and because it was a nonprofit organization that we ended up leaving, but it's called Strong House, and to this day it's still going. The needle exchange program is still going to this day. Now it's Canada wide. So I've done shit like this. I've taken beatings, bad beatings from the cops. Right up, I was in Halifax just a few years ago. I've had cameras taken from me. I got literally, the cops came up behind me, jumped me from behind, threw me on the ground, smashed my camera, punched me in the back of the head, and then kicked all the parts of the camera all over fucking Goddington Street, and then told me to leave. No charge, no nothing. All because I had a camera in public. So these are just some of the things that, man, I could go on and on and on about what the cops have done to me. Okay? And this is why I call them fucking terrorists. And until anybody can prove me wrong, they're all fucking terrorists. Now, there's this thing where the cops say, well, they'll do anything and everything for you to turn on your friend. But when you ask them to turn on a dirty cop, they all turn their backs on you. So how can we have, good relations when shit like this is going on? So I was down in Halifax, and but I was working for an organization called Harvest House, and then I snapped one day. A guy called me a goof. I grabbed him out of the throat and I threw him on the pool table, and I had a pool ball in my hand. I was going to smash his fucking head in. And I dropped the pool ball right by his head, let go of him, looked at the guy that I was working with, Danny, and I said, I quit. I'm not doing this no more. And I've never gone back to working inside of a shelter. My nerves are shot now because of what I went through in the past, and I took it out on the wrong guy because he was drunk and he called me a goof. I should have been the bigger guy and, walked away or something like that, but I couldn't. I just lost it. And so I sort of stepped away from that, but I still kept working with the homeless, and I would go out, make sure that I do food drives, I would do bottle drives, I would do big meals. When I left there, I ended up working for a lady, and she helped me start my own business for a while, and I had a property management company. At one point, I had 162 houses and 2 apartment buildings that I used to manage. And I helped all these different landlords and agencies and that sell their houses or turn them over or stuff like that. So it was only supposed to be 1 year thing, and it lasted for 2.5 years. And then after that, I went to work for a company called 1-800 Got Junk. We all know, good company. Nothing bad to say about them. Had to do it. Needed a job. Did a job. I mean, had to do it well, so that's what I did. But I still went out and do barbecues. With working with 1-800 Got Junk, I was able to get all kinds of like household items and stuff like that, and I put it in my basement. People would say that they need dishes or something. I give them a whole fucking set. Wouldn't cost them nothing. Okay, if I would have yard sales to sell the stuff, and if somebody came up said that they just moved into the neighborhood, they got like $50 or something, I'd say, well, you keep the money here, go downstairs, take what you need. You need dishes, you need a toaster. I have toasters, microwaves, kettles, percolators, you name it. It was just stacked in my basement. So I just give this stuff away like crazy to help people out. And that's the type of person I am. Um, I've literally taken the jacket off my back and given it to somebody. While I worked at Harvest House. And then I was working at an auction when I had a heart attack, and that's what put me out. All the stress. I was working for two different auction companies, plus another company that was promoting and stuff like that. The guy's name was Greg Turner. He ended up being a city councilor in that, um, which I end up having him end up falsely charging me along with the mayor of Moncton, Don Arnold, having me falsely charged and arrested. The Kodiak RCMP putting false charges on me all at once. Uh, so all that bullshit went down. I've written letters to Justin Trudeau, and I've had the cops literally come to my door saying that Elections Canada has brought to our attention that you're plan on taking down Justin Trudeau. I said, you damn right I am. I want him at a fucking office. The guy's nothing but a piece of shit goof, and he needs to be hung from the highest tree. But, you know, and that's under the free speech law that I can say that, because it's just a hope. And I imagine there's probably a couple million other people right now that would love to see that. Um, but so I've gone through a lot of shit. I won't stop fighting. I might have to slow down a bit. My nerves right now are shot. Um, and on top of this, I'm still trying to find a way to be able to go out and get some bread and some lunch meat and some snacks so that I can go feed the homeless next week. It's just what I do. I've been doing it for so long that I can't give up on the people of the street, because if I give up, then some of them may not even have anything. I'm not saying that I'm a godsend or anything like that to these people, but um, that may be the only meal that they get that day. Couple sandwiches and a snack and a juice and a coffee or something, whatever I have. Um, but that's what I do. Um, so I fought and fought and fought. I've been beat up. I've been locked up. I've had false charges brought against me. Um, I've had to take in plea deals just to get out of jail because of dirty cops and that. So, I've had assault police charges on my record because of activism, um, and I still keep doing shit like this, and I keep going out and trying to do something. Now that I'm on YouTube and stuff like that, and I got a platform to put it, um, and now I got to deal with dickheads like Dirty Mike saying that I hope I have a heart attack, another heart attack, you know. And right now, that's really playing on me. I have no family here. My family, most of my family disowned me, and then I have two sons that live in Ontario, and I have a granddaughter that's 15 years old that lives in Ontario that I can't go see because of this no restriction fucking Kool-Aid passing that you need, you know? And I don't know, I get very frustrated. I'm to the point now where I'm just about to give up. I won't, but I feel like I just want to. It's too hard for me to give up, but you never know. I was on the live stream here with Hippie tonight, and what happened? I had a fucking seizure in my kitchen. You know, these things happen to me all the time, and then people are saying, "Well, why don't you just go back to work?" I can't. That's a problem. I can't. You know, I got a hand that's so fucked up that I got two fingers that I can use. Well, this finger and this thumb. All the rest just kind of follow along. I have what's called a claw hand. I went through a plate glass window, severed all the nerve tendons and main artery, all through my arm and all through my hand. I have two pins in this finger. They had to cut my wrist here, take a tendon out of there, cut this finger all the way up, put in a new tendon in there. I've had 3 surgeries on this hand so far, and I live in chronic pain. And to describe it, if you ever whack your funny bone, that sharp shooting pain, on a good day, that's how this arm feels. Okay, so um, I have my heart's down to 33%. I suffer from PTSD. I have narcolepsy, and I have chronic pain, and I have no way of getting most of the medication that I need because it's not covered, or you can't get it in Canada. So I'm like a walking pain wreck most of the time, and I'm still going out and fighting for rights. And then I get dickheads like fucking Dirty Mike wishing death on me, and then it bugs the fuck out of me, and up to the point where once I upload this video, I'll probably end up go check myself into the hospital for a couple of days. So, you guys want to know the story about me? My real name is Michael Labeled. I'll be 55 in January, and I live in St. John, New Brunswick. I don't know what else you want from me, folks. So, until the next time, please like, share, and subscribe. Go check out Hippie Auditor, and go check out NEFan, please. Go like, share, and subscribe to them. Until next time, folks. See you later.